Welcome to Abode with After, the podcast where we step inside real homes and uncover the stories behind the renovations. I'm your host and interior designer Ashley, and I'm speaking with homeowners and industry experts about what it really takes to transform a house. Hi and welcome back to the Abode with After podcast. Today I'm joined by homeowner Naomi Hume, and Naomi has recently done her own barn conversion, although it's still in progress, so it's great to have you on. I'll pass it over to you and you can start us off from the very beginning of your renovating journey. So welcome to the show. Let's just set the scene. Tell us about the property that you've been working on.
So it's a previously renovated barn conversion. It was renovated like the early 2000s. Before that, it was kind of split into two houses. So the front part of the property was about 200 years old. It was a cowshed, and it's beautiful. That's why we fell in love with it. And the back of the property was attached to the farmhouse next door. So it was really quirky. Seen it online. Weren't really in a position to move though or buy. And we seen it in November 2024. And I thought, we need to go and see this house. There was a big double height ceiling in the living room, and I just thought, oh my goodness, brick wall, that's what we need. But obviously Christmas coming up, and we thought, no, we can't do that at all. So we put it to the back of our mind, still looking at the photos, flicking through every day on Rightmove. Gets to January, still there. I'm like, right, I just need to go and see it. But my husband been like, we're not even able to save or anything right now. It's not the right time. And at this point, we'd already renovated our first property. So we bought like an ex-council house, mid-terrace. We always joked and said it was our practice house. So we knew that we were going to be looking for our forever home sometime. And yeah, we just came March and I was like, we need to go see it. Just go see it. And then we know, put it to the back of our mind, I just need to go and see it. So took the kids, went to go and see it, looked through the front door, walked in. I was like, this is my house.
So how long was it on the market for then?
It was on the market for quite a while. It was actually unoccupied, so there was no one living in the property. I think no one living in the property from about that summer before previously. So by the time that we'd went to go and view it, you were talking about almost a year that no one was actually living in the house. So that was a big thing for us as well, because my husband was a plumber to trade, and we've done loads of work, and he's amazing at doing everything. So it was one of the first things that we thought, right, with our first property, we knew that it wasn't occupied. So we needed to make sure it was a boiler okay, was it working and things like that, because it's so important when you're
over winter and
buying a house that's not been lived in particular. You don't want to move in and there's all these problems that you don't foresee. And the kind of property it was, we knew there could have been loads of things wrong with it already. So like our first property, when we went to go and view that, we knew that the boiler maybe need fixed, or the boiler maybe need a part or something along those lines. So we made sure that that was written into like the missives, that we just bought it as it was seen, really. So we'd already had experience with that in the past. So when we went, and with it being in the countryside and a wee bit further out, it was oil and it was new to us. And I think that kind of thing was maybe putting people off not buying the property, because it was a beautiful house. There was just a coldness about it. It just needed a bit of love. And I think maybe people sometimes in the view houses can't really see past that, whereas I just kind of have like a glaze over my eyes. Like I can see things a bit differently.
A naivety that things will just work out.
I'm like, oh, that'll be fine. So we knew that kind of straight away, and we guessed that was maybe part of the issue of why it wasn't selling. It was an oil boiler, and we knew that I don't think we could put an offer in or anything until we knew what was happening with it. So at that point, we then went back and, spoke to the estate agents. It was Greg Residential, which they're fantastic. And they were actually selling on behalf of the seller. So they had spoken to us about it. And we were saying, we maybe need to think about like where we're at. And they were kind of reassuring us that properties at that time, this was 2025, it was kind of booming for sellers. And, you know, they were just trying to reassure us to say that we could get you the money that you wanted for your house. So at that point we thought, right, well, there's no point in starting anything until we know we can actually get a mortgage. You know, going from a smaller house to a bigger property, that was kind of on the in our mind. So from there, we just went and spoke to one of my friends who her husband was a financial advisor. So we went and seen him, and you're putting your trust in a lot of people and the control's out of your hands. So when the estate agents have came over and said, we're confident we can get the money that you need, the financial advisor, he's the broker that's saying, I'll be able to get you the mortgage that you need, and everything's just a wee bit out of your hands that way. So that was quite scary. So at that point I was like, no, I want this house. However, there was still the caveats of, does the boiler work? What does that look like? So we then went for a second viewing, and we took one of our friends with us who actually worked for a company to check it out. So at that point we were quite confident that it would have needed a new boiler and things, and it was quite a big expense. So from there we then put our offer in, minus the boiler, and it was a little bit under home report, which wasn't really happening at the time. It wasn't, I don't really think it's still kind of heard of getting properties, especially the property that we were going for, kind of under the home report, but it did need a lot of TLC.
Yeah, you can obviously write things off once you do it and say, well, yeah, but balancing out, we're going to have to spend this much on that. And
that's exactly what we did. But I think the position of the seller, she'd obviously just wanted to get the maximum out of... It'd
been on the market for so long, she's probably exhausted.
So at that point we kind of came to an agreement. However, she told us that the boiler would be fixed and there was someone coming out, and we thought, right, okay, that's all right. We were quite happy given the offer that we were. However, that kind of led us into another journey of, right, okay, now we actually need to sell our house. We need to get the money that we need for the house. When you're buying and selling as well, it's not just one set of lawyer fees. You've got a whole charade of things to pay out. So it was being mindful of that as well.
So when did you actually get the keys, and then start the moving in process? So
we put our offer in the middle of March. Middle of March is when we put our offer in, and we went from there. We wanted to sell as quickly as possible. Our seller was quite keen for us to sell as quickly as possible. We had our house on the market for a week, and we were inundated. I think we had 20, 30 viewings.
Good position to be in.
It was a good position, and I just remember people, saying your best offer's not always the best offer. Don't always go with the person that's offering you the most money. But then it came to, like we said, right, we'll set a closing date of a week. And then it came to the estate agent calling us, and they have to read through every single offer that you get. And we were just a bit blown away. We were like, oh my goodness, somebody wants to pay this for our house. That
I was the exact same when I sold my house. Again, it was ex-council. And it was right over the home report, and the guy was like, what one are you going for? And I was like, the highest.
The highest one, I know.
But when you've got a big renovation ahead, you're like, obviously it's different if you're maybe later in life downsizing or something. You care about who the person is moving in, but I cared about the money.
I think the money's the big thing, but for me as well, it was actually the very first couple that came to view our house who actually lived across the road from my husband's mum and dad. So I kind of felt like, I really hope they offer well, because I would really love them to have my house. And we lived in a I don't even know, it's not a rough area of Kilmarnock, well, not now, but it was. And then knowing that they had good schools and stuff like that, and I thought, I really want this couple. So they ended up putting in the highest offer. But they had to sell their house. So at that, we were like, right, okay, they told us actually that they'd had a buyer. Someone was going to sell their house. So we were like, right, great, we're in a good position. Wanted to be really, really open and honest with the seller as well. So I was like full transparency all the way, just to make sure that I wasn't upsetting our seller, but I was still getting the most out of our property and what we could do. And that was a big gamble. So our first date was supposed to be in a few months, and we were getting everything sorted, and that was all good. And then a few weeks into all the paperwork side of things, our buyer's seller pulled out. they never told us. We seen it online and we panicked, and then our estate agent seen it online and thought, oh my goodness, what's happened here?
Yeah.
So we put our house back on the market. That was a few weeks in, but they then said, no, we really want to buy your house. So they then took a lower offer in order to buy our house.
Yeah.
So that was all fine. And then we had a move-in date, I think it was the 30th of March that we wanted to go for. But with all the kind of issues throughout, that never happened. And then it got to a few weeks before we were going to move in. I think it was like the 26th of June or something. It was right at the end of term and a school. And I remember thinking, oh, this is great. This is such a good day, like to start the summer off. Yeah. I didn't work Fridays. I remember thinking this is fantastic. Yeah. And then boom, another issue happened with like the missive side of things. And it was our property. It was like the mid-terrace properties, you know, when you've got like the kind of shared entry down the side. The lawyer, their solicitor, was querying who owns the bit above the entry.
You take the bins in and
But I was like, that's me, because it's
part of the bedroom.
That's my house. So there was just that little legality that was going to take a long time. But we had a really, really good solicitor who helped sort us all that out.
So got the keys eventually, moved in. Did you start the renovation process?
Straight away.
Yeah.
I've got pictures. Day one was obviously hectic.
Right.
We are waiting on getting the phone call, and it's getting to 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. I'm like, right, okay, we're going to get a phone call. Wasn't till 2 in the afternoon. It was absolute pandemonium.
That's it. Like, because there was nobody already in it, you'd think it would have been the morning. Like, when I sold my house, it was quite late in the day, but I waited too long to start packing up.
Well, I think it was later in the day because it was a couple who were divorced previously, so they had to wait on paperwork getting signed from the other partner that was involved. Which actually meant that our move-in date was another date like later as well. So we never actually got the keys until the 30th of June, which was the Monday. However, we were just so excited. We were like, need those keys in my hand. Our people who were buying our house, so the buyers of our house, they had a van waiting up at the top of the street at like 11 o'clock ready to go, and we were like, we don't even have the keys, we don't have anything. So we couldn't get stuff started until late in the afternoon. So that day when we eventually got in, everything was looked around. We knew that obviously the boiler was a big issue, so that kind of led us into making sure everything was working okay and working properly.
Is that what you did first then when you went in and checked all the kind of pipe works?
Yep.
Walls, condition, structural condition?
Yeah, because we couldn't turn the boiler on or anything when we went to go and view it, and the seller told us
said they were going to fix it.
Lo and behold, it was an oily boiler, so you can tell if they've been touched or not because there's fingerprints round about it. And as soon as we went in, my husband noticed that it hadn't been touched. So that was kind of a big thing for us. We knew that buying a property previously where you don't know if these things are going to work out, we knew that we needed to make sure that was working. So it's probably the biggest advice I would give anybody is to just pay the money like straight away. Our solicitor told us that although you've got your 7 days when you buy a new property to report any faults, the fault must happen on day one. And then it's trying to prove that it happens on day one. So we knew with this coming up ahead, so straight away we were quite happy to pay the call out charge to get the boiler looked at, and straight away we had that paperwork to say this boiler's not been touched and it's not working. So the very next day, so that would have been day 2, we'd phoned the solicitor was like, this is the most clean cut thing I've ever dealt with. We were prepared because we knew, and lo and behold, a week later we had the money in the bank for a brand new boiler. So you really need to just be very mindful of that. And I wouldn't have known that. I wouldn't have known that it was day one, and it's the proving it is the issue. So if you are unsure of anything or you're unsure of something working, get somebody out. Just have that wee bit of money there to just in case something's not working or something's not going right. Because there was a couple of other things. There was roof tiles at the front of the property, the front of the barn, that had blown off, and it was actually one of our neighbours that told us about it. We could have claimed that as well, but because it would have been harder, we just thought it's fine. We've got the money for the boiler. It's okay. So that's kind of where we were. So day 2, my husband's putting walls up. And
Right. So did yours change like internally, like the layout of the space? Or
just a little bit.
Just wee bits?
Yeah, just wee bits. So one of the big chunks of our renovation money, so we'd obviously had seen this property online in November, pondering over it for months, and then we'd viewed it in March, so you're just like
Had time to think of
what you're going to do and where you're going to spend your money, and then the offer comes in at your house and you think, oh, I might have like X amount to spend, and where can it go? And at that, then I've got my husband, who is absolutely fantastic, but also voice of reason, but he also likes to do things on a whim as well. He's very, very just let's go, let's do it.
Impulsive.
Very. However, I was a wee bit upset because he said, we'll need to do a rewire. That'll be the biggest expense to us. But if we're going to be in this house forever, for us to see us out, we're better doing that before anything else. Yeah. So that I got a wee bit sad.
You need to go back before you can go forward, don't you?
So at that I was a wee bit gutted because I thought, oh gosh, we're going to need to spend all this money.
And I think with the rewiring you're spending money on something behind the walls. It's never good.
Don't see it. I thought all this money for something, but then at least I know that my house is safe and it's kind of future proof.
And did you get somebody in to do the rewiring for you?
Yeah, we got Allen Electrical, who is another local company, and we got them in to do the rewire, and we were actually planning, when we thought that we had the move-in date that we did, we actually were planning to not move into the house or rent somewhere for a few weeks or do it that way, because we've got so many pets and 3 kids, and it's just an absolute nightmare thinking of having a rewire in a new house with all the chaos and everything. So at that we were looking at Airbnbs and we were looking at renting somewhere for a few weeks. However, because we then were landed with the move-in date kept getting pushed back, that wasn't possible. However, Allen Electrical, Stevie Allen was great with us, trying to sort out a date and things like that, and it just so happened that my husband's mum and dad were going on holiday for 2 weeks at the end of the summer, so we'd kind of agreed with them that we would move in there while the rewire was happening, because you can't obviously live in the property. You wouldn't want to live in the property when a rewire's happening. It's an absolute mess, and we would just need to go back and check on the fish and things like that at the time. But yeah, it was that was probably the biggest upheaval, but we did that straight away, just to ensure that everything was all
so what kind of things was you doing yourself, so DIY? Obviously you said you had professionals in for certain stuff, but what were you focusing on doing, and did you really find that you kind of enjoyed the process, or did you take on certain roles and your husband did his specialist skills?
Yeah, so as I said, my husband does absolutely everything. He wouldn't say no to anything as well, and if it's something that he thought he couldn't do, he's always got the mindset of I'll try it first, because we kind of see it as an investment in ourselves, because
and then if it breaks or something down the line,
then you'll get something.
Then you can fix it because you've done it. You've done it for another socket or something. Putting plugs on and
and you know that. But as far as the boiler and the rewire and the wasp man, because we had so many wasp nests, we had no other professionals come in, so we done everything. But we'd kind of put ourselves under pressure with time frames as well, because we knew that the rewire was obviously going to be such a big job, but with a rewire you're then moving plugs and you want plugs to be in certain places, and with our house being 2 houses almost put into one building, the plugs and things just were not practical for us. We had a wee cupboard at the front of our house that's now the boot room, and there was 8 sockets in it, and this wee tiny cupboard, and then the big living room that we have, there was 2 or 3 sockets.
So did you kind of do your own kind of floor plan and layout, and then do a little electrical plan of where?
No, so we actually built the walls before the rewire happened. Right, okay. So that's why we were a wee bit under pressure. So at the beginning, I think what maybe put a lot of people off the property is it's because it's got 2 upstairs.
Right, okay.
And one of the upstairs is right at the back of the house, and then there was a mezzanine above the living room. And I said, well, that's where I want my bedroom to be, but it's obviously really far away from the kids.
Yeah.
So we knew that was a bit of an issue, and that was something that we had to talk about. There was a bedroom down the stairs as well, but none of the kids wanted to be in that bedroom. So my daughter and my wee boy, they were so excited. They wanted to share a room. There was a big, massive room upstairs and a smaller room, and my teenage daughter was like, yep, that's my room, right next to the bathroom upstairs. That's where I'm going. Downstairs, kitchen's there.
Yeah.
She had everything that she needed. But the wee ones just wanted to share this big room. Yeah. But as time went on, and then we eventually moved in, we thought that's maybe not going to be practical, and they didn't want to share a room. So me being me, I'm like, Ryan, just put a wall up. Put a wall up, make it 2 wee rooms. And my husband's going, no, I don't think we can manage it. I was like, we're going to make it work.
Yeah.
It's going to work. Because there was a big box in my daughter's room, which was the staircase, which we've eventually turned into her bed. She's got a bed up there, like a loft bed. So that was day 2. Ryan was already putting the studs in the frame to put the wall up. So Ryan's put the wall up, plastered it all, builds door frames, doors, everything, you name it. And then the second wall that we needed to put up was the mezzanine. The previous owner used that as her bedroom as well. However, it's too cold.
Aye.
Up there's a really big fire in our living room, so it's either roasting or it's freezing.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, at least if we have a wall up, then it's kind of separating that space a wee bit. But I still loved the idea of the landing, so we just moved the wall back a wee bit.
Yeah, just had a kind of corner.
Yeah, so that was the second wall that needed to go up. So that was Ryan, like, every other day there was an order at Tool Station, like, they know him by name. And luckily we moved to Galston, so the tool station's right there. Or the screw fix, sorry. So the 2 walls went up. That was the only structural things that we knew we needed before the rewire. And then everything else is getting done. I can't sit still.
How did you find, like, because obviously it's a very unique property and it takes a certain type of person and probably like style and lifestyle to choose that as your home. So did you take in kind of like the barn and the landscape into your design? Like this choices that you made, kind of that country living?
Absolutely,
is that something that's followed through?
Even our estate agent, like when she was like showing people around our first house, she was like, oh, I can really see how they've chose that house, because it was really funny when we knew that we wanted to live in a place that was a bit quieter, a bit more country living,
land.
And my only thing was oot, but no oot.
Yeah.
So that's what I always said. Like, I want to be out, away. I want to be a bit quieter. I want a bit of a slower life. I want to do things my own way. I don't like the hustle and bustle of people looking in your gardens and things like that. And we'd obviously had that for 9 years, and our neighbours were lovely, and I absolutely loved living where we were before. But we just knew that that's what we needed. So we weren't buying a house. We were buying a lifestyle, and I think that's sometimes a good consideration for people when they know they're going to buy.
Have you been able to use anything like off the land or anything that's been left and bring it into your house? Like wood or anything like that?
So, mostly inside.
Like self-sufficiency decor?
We're definitely trying. So, mostly inside, if there's been wee bits of wood that I can turn into shelves, or like the kind of Dido rail that's been, I said, right, we're going to use that in a different part of the house. Door frames we've reused. Flooring was a complete mess, so we basically just opted to get the same flooring like all the way throughout the house and out throughout the property. Again, my husband rattled it in a few days. Just kept going and going. But wherever we could use something, we did. So, for example, the door frame that we put up in the wall that we put in our bedroom, we used the same woods at the bottom. We took it off of different parts of the house. So we definitely could. Outside has been a bit trickier. We've tried to use as much as we could outside. So we had a lovely gift from our previous owner, which was a big, massive pile of muck in the grass up in the garden. So they did a wonderful job. They built a lovely like kind of bistro area at the front of the garden and like separated it from the grass at the top. But where our property is, it's like wedged in between other properties, and it's a wee bit awkward. We've got a buyer that we can get through to from outside. That's where the company comes in to fill the oil up in the oil tank. They can get through the buyer. And you would just think they would take it through the buyer, but they didn't. They just took the muck and sat it in the grass. Yeah. So we've nicknamed it the mountain, and I don't think we're the only people to call it the mountain. And it is about 25, maybe more ton of dirt. Right. So we've definitely reused that. So that's what we've kind of been doing over this spring. We've been chipping away at the mountain. Yeah. And I'm like, no, I can do this. So I've been doing that and filling in patches of the grass. Yeah. Because there's a big ditch that they didn't fill in. So like with the kids running about and stuff, I was like, I don't want them to fall. So I've definitely used loads of that muck. Now we're at a kind of standstill with that. And there's been a lot in the property that we've just kind of found a wee like photo frames or something, or like a bit of wood that I've turned into a door sign, or things like that we can kind of reuse. The cladding has been lovely. There's cladding up the stairs leading to the kids' bedroom. We've used that again, and it's just been so good. I was really gutted though, because during the rewire, things happen. One of the electricians drilled through the floorboard and burst a pipe. Yeah. And it was chaotic. It was fine. It was funny. It wasn't funny at the time.
Yeah, we had the exact same story with a contractor last week on here.
Oh, really?
The guy putting up a shelf drilled through a pipe.
Well, he drilled through the pipe in the kids' hallway, and we were actually in Ryan's mum and dad's house because we weren't in the house, and they phoned us and they were like, we can't shut the water off. So because the houses are all kind of interlinked somehow, our stopcock was actually in the neighbour's garden. We didn't even know. And it was just pandemonium. And the first thing that went through my head was not the water, that could be fixed. It was like the Wayne's bedrooms, like all their stuff. Yeah. Because the water just went straight up and then landed all the way back down. So when we actually got to the house, it wasn't as bad. I thought, you know what, I can deal with a flood. And it was actually the dining room it kind of went into. And all the cladding kind of came off. And these things happening, actually, I said to that, you could tell the tradesman was absolutely distraught that he'd done this. And I was saying, I was like, you know, it couldn't have happened in a better house, because I was like, Ryan's drilled through pipes and everything. Like, we've done it, we know what it's like. And Stevie Allen was absolutely brilliant. He was like, just send me a bill, like anything to fix it. And he was absolutely great, because we know that these things happen as well. I was just glad that's why we did the rewire first, because nothing was actually decorated or done at that point. However, that was quite a funny story, because the pipe that he drilled through, my husband stopped the stopcock and he's like, there's still water running through it. That should not happen. That just shouldn't happen. And it turns out that it was actually a spring water pipe running through our house. Right. So we didn't even know that the front of our property was on the spring and the back wasn't, because we had SEPA. So like when you're selling properties that are a wee bit more out, or you've got like fresh water and things, they can come out and test the water. But they must have done it from the kitchen. So we had no idea. So my husband, being a plumber, he thought, right, I'll blank it, I'll stop it, and then we'll put the front of the house onto the mains water. And then about a week later, I'm out and it's like height of summer at this point. I'm like, oh, we blow up hot tub for the kids, and I'm filling up the water, and it's all fine. And then I'm like, oh my God, like there's water actually pushing out that bit again. I was like, what's happened? I'm shouting my husband, and Ryan's just like actually scratching his head. He's like, this just shouldn't happen. That should, like, why is that happening?
Sounds like a good trade to, like, luckily you're married to a plumber.
So it turned out that actually, and I was really paranoid about it, because it was written into all of our missives and things, because it was like a farm property. We were so lucky, because like our neighbours either side, one of our neighbours actually, he did all like the plumbing and things, because they are the farmers that live there. So he knew all the pipes inside out, he'd put them in. And then the other neighbour was the older farmer. And it turned out that it was backwater coming, because they were actually confused, because the older farmer's water wasn't working for a week. It was shut off for a week, and they were wondering, why is this happening? And it turned out that there was a spring water tap running through our house, underground, past another house and into his property.
Right.
And we didn't know, and I felt absolutely terrible. And I was like, I'm so sorry that we've shut you off for a week. So it was just backwater. So I was quite happy that it wasn't something that was terrible. I was like, it was absolutely fine. But I just remember, like, my husband being so puzzled because he was like, this just shouldn't happen. But that's the quirkiness about these kind of properties. You just never really know what you're going to find. Which actually was a bit of a godsend, because we weren't actually going to put the flooring all the way through the house, because doing all the work ourselves and it being so expensive, you just don't have the money for these things. However, when we'd actually lifted up the floorboards of the flooring, and we'd seen the amount of like mould and things from all the leaks before, but all the neighbours have all been in the house and they all know what it's like. And one of our next door neighbours, he was like, oh aye, there's been about 5 floods in that dining room. And I was like, oh. So that was quite funny. So so
take us into, like, what is the lifestyle like for you and your family now, and pets? Like, what is it like living on the...
Oh, it's so different. It's wonderful. And it comes with challenges as well. Like when we first moved in, obviously the house wasn't lived in for about a year, so things were really overgrown. The garden's really good size. It's not massive, but there's a lot of like bushes and shrubbery and things like that. So when we first moved in, it was like getting all the wildlife back out the house. Like there was wasp nests, there was a bird that was made a house up in our bedroom in the mezzanine, so there was like stuff to clean up. You could tell why people didn't want to buy the house. Night one, I'm thinking, oh my God, I've got a ghost in the house. What's that? And I was like, oh, it's just a mouse, it's fine. So there was mice, there was like wee voles outside, so that was it. The cats had a wonderful job. One of my cats actually made a wee cemetery up in the grass.
Lovely.
So took all them away, and then the ticks came and we thought, oh my goodness, we like the long grass.
The
trees.
You got dogs?
We've got 2 dogs, and we were taking ticks off of each other like every night. It was disgusting. Like but it was all the shrubbery and all the long grass and everything, and the dogs. It wasn't for the faint-hearted. Even my daughter had a tick on her at a barbecue. I wasn't there, but I heard that she was screaming. Quite rightly so. But then that just led to more jobs. So then my husband's like, right, well, now we need a petrol lawnmower, and I need to do this, and I need a strimmer, and I need this, and I need to cut everything back. And thankfully, touch wood, once we'd dealt with all of that, it was fine. The pets absolutely love the house, and it's so good now. Like now that we're at the other side of coming into a new spring, and the dogs are up in the garden and the cats are there, and it's just really, really lovely. We've now got a big poultry patch. So we used to have chickens, but I was like, you can't have chickens in the middle of the scheme. And they were lovely and they were fine, but I decided, I was like, no, we'll get chickens back once we've got the right property and the right house. So we started off with 7 chickens. We actually had 5, and my friend got really excited about the chickens. So I said, let's go and take your wee boy to go and get another 2 chickens. And then my husband, we went for a lunch in a lovely wee cafe. It was like a farmhouse, and at the start, this is how impulsive he is. So this was just a normal Monday that we had off, month and a half ago, and it was like, do you know, I'd really like some ducks. So by the end of the lunch, we'd already found a pond in the town next to us to go and pick up, and we'd already picked our pond up and researched where we could get khaki Campbells, because they're really good layers for duck eggs. And then 2 days later, we'd had everything ready, everything done for the ducks. Like that's how impulsive sometimes it is. Living with my husband, but I love it as well. So now we've got 5 ducks and 10 chickens.
Any other pets?
We've got 2 dogs, 2 springers, we've got 2 cats, we've got a massive fish tank. That was actually one of the biggest upheavals of moving, was that fish tank. So it was a hot water tank, and it was just like, how are we going to move these fish? And with not knowing when we were moving and all the rest of it. So we managed to find and it was a big tank. So we managed to find a big tank off the marketplace. Say to our lovely friends that lived round the road, I was like, I'm really sorry, but we're going to put this in your hole. Could you have our fish for a wee while? Maybe months and months. Moved all the fish over. Never lost a single fish. Good. And then when we had to move back, it was like when we had to move, we'd move the fish tank, and then a few months later, once we'd decorated the dining room, which also sped up that renovation, because I was like, we can't leave these fish with our friends for so long. So because the fish tank was so heavy, I was like, well, that means that we need the floor down, and that means we need to paint and we need the wallpaper, and so that was a big job, but we got them in and that's all fine, and we still haven't lost any fish. Good. Thank goodness. My little boy's got a lovely wee hamster. Right. She's lovely. She's a German dwarf hamster. We've got a tortoise as well. So we've got 15 poultry, 2 cats, 2 dogs, a hamster, tortoise. I'm sure we've got bats. We got bats up.
You've got ones that aren't exclusively your pets, but live there anyway.
We had a bat in the living room one morning, like a few months moving in. I was like, oh my God, what have we done? Yeah. And the bat was, I was so scared because obviously they're endangered, and I was, what do we do? I don't know what we can do. But we eventually got the bat out safely. Right. You can see them flying about at night, which is lovely. So many other like animals that are not ours, but they are about.
They live there anyway.
They live there, and it's just about getting used to it. The amount of bees that we're finding right now, that are actually bees that I've never even heard of. They're lovely.
Different species. What? So obviously, like, we connected through Instagram, so I know you've got your account, but you've only just recently started that. So is this just because you've got the time now to do it, or what's like what are you getting out of your home Instagram? Well, I think it's more for sharing things that are a wee bit different. It's good to look back on it though, isn't it, and see what you've done. You see all of the lovely Instagram accounts, and they look all beautiful and lovely, and I think I'd never have the money to do that, like, in my house, and I can't pay somebody to make something look as good as that. But I love buying second hand. I love getting free things if I can. Where do you go to buy your second hand? Charity shops. Charity shops, Facebook Marketplace. Marketplace. Things like that. Like right now we have laid, like, see that big mountain that I was talking about, like flattening the ground. Yeah. My husband actually drove to it's like Edinburgh twice, I think, to go and get bits of turf. Right. He's like, everybody in the West Coast is actually like digging up their dirt and getting new turf. So we've been getting free turf. I'm like, right, well, if it's patchwork, it's patchwork. It's a wonky house anyway. Yeah. So anything that I can get that's like just needs a wee bit of TLC. Like things that I can like change or make my own. So you like furniture and things with a story? Oh yeah. Because you like to like say, oh well, I got that from there, or do you know that we came from such and such a place, and then you put your own thing on it. I absolutely love it, and I love looking at something and going, I actually know that because I've got the skills now of sanding and varnishing. Or it was like a solid oak mirror. Now we've got a few oak mirrors in the house, and I remember paying for like a few years ago, one was like well over £100 in oak furniture land. Back when I was daft and thinking that you have to buy things from shops, brand new, when actually you really don't. And I remember seeing this oak mirror in the charity shop, and it was a wee bit scratched, but I was like, could I have any more money off of that? Because like, I'll maybe need to fix it. And the guy was like, I'll give you it for £2. Took it home. I'm going to take you with me. Took it home, sanded it all down. As soon as I got home as well, I'm quite impulsive that way. I was like, well, I've got to make it look really good right now. Sanded it, Danish oil, bit of wax, beautiful, in my living room. I was like, that is so good that it cost £2. So like, I like to go out as well if we've like renovated a new room or done something. I've started wee challenges, so like we'll go a wee charity shop day, but I'll be like, today I'm looking for something specific. Because we had our dining room is a very subtle killie room. Right. My family's quite big Kelly supporters, so I got a bit of artwork from a local artist that I know, Jack Sutton, and
I was like, that's going to go, and I love it, and it's very subtle, and it doesn't really look football-y, but obviously squirrels are a big thing, and I was like, right, I'm looking for a squirrel today, and I'll go out and we'll have a wee look to see what we can find. And I love it because it just makes your home your own, and it's quirky, and and it's nice.
I'm a bit like I don't really buy art because I can make it yourself. I'm not at the stage to put anything on the walls, but like I'm very like, no, I'll make that. But then you can pick the colours and all that as well to match like exactly what, like you've got leftover paint, so that can go on such like another thing.
Right now this morning think I've got paint still on me. I was painting photo frames a different colour because I found a sample pot and I thought, I don't like black anymore, I don't want black frames, I'll paint them. But yeah, so I just want to share with everybody that you can do things cheap and you can do it on your own, and you can make things look lovely with actually not a lot of money, or you know, if you go out and you can actually find wee treasures everywhere. And just trying to be a wee bit more sustainable. Like
that's it as well, sustainability.
I definitely know that I'm not overly the most sustainable person, and I know that there's loads of things that we do that's not sustainable, but definitely little by little I'm just trying. So like now we've got the chickens and you're like, right, well they need a dust bath, so just the little things like, well, we have the fire, so we'll use the ash to make the dust bath. That then goes back into the chickens, which then goes back into ours, and we eat the eggs, and it's just all those wee little things. Or like our fire lighters for the fire, now we make them ourselves.
From what?
From like so see when you buy your wood in, and you've got like your tin bags at the bottom of your bag, you'll get all of the wee bits of sawdust and things. So we buy the paper cups, or like the wee kind of shot cups. And then you use paraffin wax.
Right, okay.
And you just like pour the wax on the top, and we can make loads of them because firelighters are really expensive. I was like, it's no point having a nice fire and then it's costing an absolute fortune because the wood's quite expensive as well. Or we seen a local landowner was wanting rid of wood. So that was that. Like my husband was like, right, we'll go and we'll chop up the wood.
We'll give you a message because we've got loads of logs. Like when we moved in the house, it was overgrown with trees and all that. Actually,
we'll come and take them.
Though we've got loads. They're just kind of drying out now. But I'm like, I want to do something with, like, because we were going to put a log burner in, but then it's like they're still like just too much. But we live right next to a woodland as well.
You've got
council owned, but like we'd still go in and get a few trees now and again. So
it's just it's knowing where to get your wood as well. Or like there's all
probably
these things
landscapers are because they're cutting down other folks' trees, like tree surgeons, and then.
You buy them from companies though as well. It's like softwood and hardwood, or there's like actually so much to it.
Does it burn? Yes, get it.
Well, actually, because it's quite a big fire that we've got, it's quite a skill to work out what kind of wood that you need. Or even like I'm an expert at getting the fire started now. I still don't like it, and I'm reluctant to do it.
This is a funny story, right? Kind of not related, but. When I first met my partner, we went over to Arran. Like I've got a camper van. We went over to Arran, and he made like a ditch in the sand on Brodick Beach, and he put like kindle and all that and made a fire. And I was like, I'm impressed. I think I'll take you. It was like one of them. Like he can phone about. He can make fires. By the way, I make fire. So that's me. I was like, right, I'll take you. Let's go official. We've always seemed to got a fire of some sort going on. So like as I said, like our lovely seller had left us loads of gifts. But like the mountain on top of that was all of these huts. That were just filled with absolute like everything. So we had to rent vans to take them to the dump to get rid of all of the stuff, and then it was like trying to burn whatever we could, like wood-wise and stuff, because there was so much of it. Which sometimes I think people don't realise as well. They maybe get a wee bit blindsided. Maybe I did a bit. Just the clearing of it. It's alright ripping everything down, but then how do you get rid of it?
And like that's actually quite a big upheaval. But then you've got a van, so you might as well look in the marketplace because someone's always giving a table away for free. So I was like, well, that's fine because we'll just look for a table then at the same time. We got a lovely oak table as well, like lovely, for free on the marketplace. I was like, well, that actually worked out.
I think though other people, and I know this for moving from like my first home, like if you're not taking it with you, you put it up for free because saves you having to get rid of it. Somebody can have it. If you don't want to just take it to the dump, it's a bit of a shame. And then people will just come pick it up, especially if it's free. Folk are making you like, I'll come, like the now, and you're like, right, whoever comes first can have it.
Aye, and it's a win-win though then, isn't it?
Yeah,
as well?
exactly.
I think there's this shame, like people think that it's shameful if you're getting stuff for free, or like why, when I can have the money in my pocket to do other things. I was like, now we are...
It's no more to splurge and where to save.
Because there's definitely things in our house that have cost a lot of money that maybe other people wouldn't have had in their house, but we knew that that's where we wanted to save our money, but we could maybe save our money in other ways, because the likes of like paint and decorating, like I always think that these are skills that you can learn quite easy and you're not paying the hundreds of pounds for someone to paint somewhere if you could. So usually like my husband does all the structural side and building side of stuff, and then I'm straight in with my paint and love it.
I try and do painting as well. I'd painted most of the upstairs myself. I think downstairs I will get somebody in. It's more just of a time thing though.
Aye.
Like, because all the preparation and stuff, and upstairs I would just left myself absolutely skinnered. I was like, I do not want to see a paintbrush again.
Well, that's where I don't think we know when to stop. Like, I mean, I think it was the first few weeks of moving in, I was like beaming my eyes open at like 5 a.m. I thought, well, what could I do before a normal person gets up? And it'd be 9 o'clock in the morning, I've like repainted the full bathroom, or like things like that.
It's like before work, like I'm not doing it now, I'm going to do like me things for the house.
Yeah, because I kind of see it like my hobby. I always need to be busy and do something. So I always see the house like a hobby, even like because I'm a teacher and I'm busy and I'm working all the time, but the minute that I do have a free bit of time, I think I could sit down and not do anything, then that annoys me. I'm kind of one of these people, it's like I want everything done and then I'll relax, and that's just kind of become the house.
It's never ever done.
It's never ever done, no. But I mean, we're nearly a year in the house, and we've only got a few wee things to do, so we have absolutely rattled through it. Obviously things are just like with the kitchen and the bathroom.
That comes at a sacrifice as well from like other like holidays and going away and all that, because you're doing things.
You're doing things, you don't have the money to do like
everything at the same time.
But it's fun, it's exciting.
So what's like, just to kind of wrap it up, so I've been asking homeowners, like what's 2 things that you absolutely love, and what's 1 thing that in hindsight you maybe would have changed so far?
I would say 1 thing I absolutely love is just the house, just taking the risk sometimes. You know, we weren't in the position to buy, we didn't know if we could buy, and we just knew that that was the house for us. So I think that was definitely something that, you know, we are a wee bit spontaneous and a wee bit spur of the moment, and it's maybe just fitted in well with our story, because sometimes you just need to take a risk, and that's okay. If you don't take risks, sometimes you're left questioning if you should have. And that's something that I would say that I absolutely love. I also love just the lifestyle. Like, it's so different. Like, we didn't buy a house, we bought a lifestyle, which is just so incredible. And I think, you know, you go and you buy a new build and they're lovely, and I love new builds, and I love, like, sometimes I see a new build and I think, oh my goodness, like, it's so clean cut and everything's just there and it's all nice and it's lovely. But I knew that was never really going to be us. That doesn't really suit us. We like a bit of chaos, and especially buying a property that is really wonky and different and made of different sections and parts, and because, you know, we never knew what we were going to find in that house. Like, even I'd mentioned the safe. We'd had 2 safes in this cupboard. Right. And we were in the house for weeks and we hadn't even seen parts of the house. Like, there was a cupboard under our stairs that we eventually turned into a wee playhouse for our kids. Okay. And just across from that was a wee cupboard that we were like, right, okay, that'll be my wee craft room, wee craft cupboard. It was quite big. But there was these 2 safes. And my husband, he was like, one of them we had a key for and we could get into. And the other one we just couldn't. I was like, why can we not get into that safe? So one day, Ryan had had all his tools, are like, just heard bang, bang, bang. I don't even flinch now. I'm just like, what's he doing? So there was like big, massive screws in the wall. He ripped half of the wall out. Right. Tried to get this safe out to see what was in the safe. What do you think was in the safe?
I've actually no idea. It's like a bird, like, who even lived there to put something in?
Nobody would ever guess what was in this safe. We opened up the safe and it was just a mountain of dirt in the safe. I was like, that better not be somebody. Like, that's the first thing that came in my head. I was like, oh my goodness, like, what is this? Like a big mountain of dirt. It was just dirt, it was rubble. I was like, someone put that in there for a laugh. So anyway, we only have 1 safe and that wall's not really been fixed. But yeah, it's just, everything's just so quirky and different. And And you're just trying to use what you can.
It must be great for the kids as well to like explore the house and have fun in the garden and things.
I've never seen them like just so happy outside as well.
They're getting a chance to actually live like kids. Like out their own back door.
Yeah, and it's just nice, and they've got a bug hotel, and like my daughter.
Obviously they do.
Obviously they do. And there's like with the mountain of worms and stuff like that. My daughter's like getting slaters in her hands and worms, and then going feeding them to the chickens, and you're like, God.
I have loads of worms and slaters out my back as well, because I kind of live like next to woodland, but like I do save them if I've been undone like dirt. Like I recently just had to clean the drain in front of the garage, and there's so many worms in it. Like I wouldn't just leave it out, I'd put it back in the mud and that, but I wouldn't just pick it up. No,
she picks them up because it's good food for the chickens. That makes good egg.
Yeah,
so
all right.
Like it's good for you.
Yeah.
And one thing I regret, I don't actually
Or a hindsight moment, if there is any. I know we've kind of spoke about things like keeping the money maybe for if you're buying an older property, because things on the plain sailing, or
yeah, I mean that side of things we actually did know that stuff could crop up, and I suppose we did. I actually don't. I'm trying to think. You've stumped me.
It's okay if you don't have anything.
No, I mean obviously I will have regrets. I mean it'd be great if I had loads of money that I could pay somebody else to do stuff, but it's just been fun. I think
you've pulled more of your heart and soul into it because you're hands on,
and it's ours.
And sometimes it's nice to watch a like project just go with the flow a wee bit. Like you don't need to have every design decision made. Like you can kind of do it as it comes, and then obviously you've got a bit of time like to put into it as well.
And you like to think and soak up.
It's good to look at something and say, I made that.
I know, I made that look really, really good. That was me. I mean, don't look behind it, but it looks good. But I mean, it probably though. I don't know. Hindsight is a wonderful thing. I think I think having the time and the effort to do your research on things as well, like the buying and selling process is obviously quite a big process. Would I, in hindsight, have picked the lower offer to have everything run a bit more smoothly for the sake of £5,000 or something like that? But maybe that would maybe be my only regret, because sometimes it's not as plain sailing when you always go for the highest offer, but we're only human and we want money for our house.
Exactly. That's it. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on. This has been an amazing episode, definitely different, and just the type of property. We'll get you to send over some pictures for the page, because we'd like to see, some of these stories to life for the viewers. And this podcast is proudly sponsored by the Garage Conversion Company. We will see you in the next one.